The orbit around Arden 9 was crowded with debris and old spacecraft. Salvagers moved between floating hulks, scanning each vessel for something valuable. Most ships were stripped bare, abandoned long ago by crews who had no hope of repairing them. Among these derelict ships, one stood out not because it was impressive, but because of its sheer insignificance. Painted across its side in faded letters were the words, "Worthless." Yet, Captain Alara Voss felt a pull she could not explain. Her ship, the starbound Arrow, drifted closer to the derelict vessel, sensors scanning for anything unusual. Her crew watched with curiosity, even amusement. "Captain," said Riko Tanaka, her engineering officer. "You want us to tow that junk back to the station? Looks like it hasn't flown in decades." Alara smiled faintly. "Sometimes, Riko, junk holds more than we expect. Let's take a closer look." The crew exchanged skeptical glances, but they trusted Alara's instincts. Humans had a long history of finding treasure where others saw trash. That was why humanity had survived and thrived among the stars: cleverness, curiosity, and the stubbornness to keep looking when others gave up. As they approached, the derelict ship came into full view. Its hull was battered, with scorch marks along the side. Several panels were missing, and its exterior shimmered faintly from the heat of past atmospheric entries. Sensors showed minimal power, only enough to keep basic systems online. There was no life aboard, and no signals of communication. "Definitely abandoned," muttered Lena Ortega, the pilot, as she maneuvered the starbound Arrow closer. "Still, why does your gut feel strange about this, Captain?" Alara did not answer immediately. Her eyes were fixed on the fuel tank readings. It was the same type of tank used in most freighters. But the energy signature was off, faint, pulsing irregularly, as if the tank had a heartbeat of its own. Riko frowned at the readings. "That's odd. It shouldn't be active. This ship hasn't moved in years. The tank should be cold." "Exactly," said Alara. "Let's see what secrets it holds." They docked carefully. The derelict's docking clamps were old and stiff, but they held. Once aboard, the crew stepped into the narrow hallway, the air stale and metallic. The ship smelled faintly of burnt circuits and old fuel. Dust floated in small motes, disturbed only by their movement. The control room was small and outdated. Screens flickered faintly, some displaying static, others showing error codes. The AI interface was inactive, a small console in the corner that seemed to wait silently for activation. "Looks like a normal old freighter," Lena said. "Nothing to see here." Alara's eyes did not leave the fuel tank readings. She moved closer and tapped the console beside it. A faint glow lit up the AI interface. Lines of text scrolled across the screen. "Not lost. Waiting." Riko raised an eyebrow. "It's talking?" Alara shook her head. "Not yet. But something is responding. I can feel it." Quote, she ordered the crew to examine the tank. Using portable scanners, they discovered something unusual. While the tank's exterior was plain metal, internal readings showed tiny energy fluctuations, almost like a pulse. "Captain," Riko said, "this doesn't make sense. The fuel tank is alive. Not biologically, but it reacts as if it's thinking. The energy patterns are intelligent." Alara nodded. "Exactly. Someone didn't leave this ship by accident. There's something in here. Something they wanted to hide or protect." The crew argued briefly about towing the ship. Lena and Riko were cautious. They had no idea what dangers might be aboard. But Alara insisted. "Every great human discovery started with curiosity," she said. "We're going to tow it. And we're going to find out what this ship is really worth." Quote, the starbound Arrow began towing the derelict, engines thrumming quietly as they moved toward the research station. The journey was smooth, but the ship seemed to resist in subtle ways. Lights flickered, instruments hummed oddly, and the fuel tank pulsed with energy at irregular intervals. "Do you feel that?" Lena asked, gripping the controls. It's like the ship is alive. Rico laughed nervously. Alive, sure. Or haunted. Elara ignored the joke. She felt a thrill the kind explorers feel when they know they are on the edge of a real discovery. Humanity had always been underestimated. Other species in the galaxy saw humans as weak, reckless, or inefficient. But time and again, humans had proven that ingenuity, courage, and persistence could overcome the most impossible odds. Hours into the journey, the derelict ship suddenly shuddered. Alarms rang briefly on the starbound arrow. The AI interface flickered to life again. Words scrolled rapidly across the screen, then stopped abruptly. Follow the path. Unlock the future. Rico stared at the display. It's giving instructions? Elara stepped closer, studying the readings. Not exactly instructions. A hint. Something wants to be found. It knows we're capable. The crew spent the rest of the day examining the fuel tank. Using scanners, they found microscopic structures within the fuel itself. They were self-repairing, glowing faintly, and seemed to store information. The tank was not just a source of energy, it was a repository of knowledge, carefully preserved. Who would do this? Lena asked. Why hide information in a fuel tank? Elara thought for a moment. Because it had to be hidden where no one would expect it. Humans excel at seeing value in what others discard. Maybe whoever built this ship knew that only humans could understand its purpose. That night, as the starbound arrow drifted near the edge of Arden 9's orbital debris field, a meteor storm erupted. The crew worked quickly, evading the rocks with skillful maneuvers. The derelict ship seemed to pulse again, almost as if it were helping, its energy waves guiding them safely through the storm. By the end of the storm, the crew had a new respect for the ship. What they called worthless was anything but. Rico muttered, Captain, I hate to admit it, but this ship, it's something else. I don't understand it, but I trust your instincts. Elara smiled. Good. Keep that trust. We're going to need it. In the quiet hours after the storm, the crew slept lightly, leaving only the sensors and Elara awake. She watched the derelict ship, thinking about humanity's place in the galaxy. Humans were not the strongest, nor the fastest. Other species underestimated them constantly. But that was humanity's advantage. Creativity, adaptability, and the refusal to give up. The fuel tank pulsed once more. Faintly. Elara knew this was only the beginning. Whatever secrets it held, they would change the course of human exploration, and perhaps even human history. By the time the starbound arrow reached the research station, the crew had prepared a careful plan to study the fuel tank in detail. Scientists would examine its structure. Engineers would investigate its systems. And the AI interface would be monitored continuously. Elara stood on the observation deck, staring at the derelict ship floating alongside them. Worthless, she whispered. Not to us. Humanity had once again proven that value is not always obvious. Sometimes, the galaxy's treasures hide in plain sight, waiting for the clever, the curious, and the brave to find them. And Elara Voss was ready to uncover every secret this worthless ship had to offer. The research station on Arden 9 was a massive structure of metal and glass, orbiting the planet like a silent guardian. Inside, the station hummed with activity. Scientists and engineers moved quickly, their faces lit by the glow of monitors and holographic displays. The starbound arrow had docked, and the derelict ship floated beside it, waiting silently. Captain Elara Voss stood in the lab, watching as the crew began their examinations of the mysterious fuel tank. Rico Tanaka, ever the skeptic, carefully adjusted his scanner, while Lena Ortega observed quietly, fingers crossed in anticipation. Captain, you might want to see this, Rico called. His voice carried a mix of excitement and disbelief. Elara walked over, her eyes narrowing at the monitor. The scanner displayed microscopic images of the fuel. At first glance, it looked like ordinary synthetic fuel, but closer inspection revealed something remarkable. Tiny structures, too small to see with the naked eye, were glowing faintly. They moved subtly, as if responding to the scanner's presence. Those aren't just molecules, Rico said, awe in his voice. They're organized, patterned, alive in a way I've never seen. Ilara's lips curved into a smile. Exactly what I thought. This fuel isn't just energy. It's a vessel for information. Someone designed it to store knowledge. Lena leaned forward, her eyes wide. Information? In fuel? Why would anyone do that? Ilara crossed her arms. To hide it. To keep it safe. And to ensure that only someone clever enough would find it. She glanced at the derelict ship. Humans are good at that. The team worked late into the night. Using high-resolution scanners, they discovered that the fuel's nanostructures were capable of self-repair. If damaged, they could rebuild themselves automatically. Even more incredible, they seemed to respond to thought patterns. When Rico adjusted a scanner, the fuel pulsed gently in recognition. When Lena activated a diagnostic tool, the patterns shifted again. Almost like a language trying to communicate. This is alive, Lena whispered. Or, at least, semi-conscious. Not alive. Not in the biological sense, Ilara corrected. But intelligent. Designed to respond to its environment, to adapt. Whoever made this wanted it to last for centuries. And they succeeded. Word of the discovery spread quickly through the research station. Soon, other teams arrived, eager to examine the ship and the fuel tank. The derelict vessel that had once been dismissed as worthless had become the center of attention. As the humans worked, a subtle tension built outside the station. News of the discovery traveled quickly through the network of salvage crews and freighter pilots in the nearby sectors. Rival factions, always on the lookout for advanced technology, took notice. Though most considered humans weak compared to larger alien civilizations, they also knew that humans had a habit of surviving against impossible odds. Late one evening, alarms blared across the station. A small fleet of unauthorized ships had approached the outer perimeter. Their intent was clear. They wanted the derelict vessel and its secrets. Ilara quickly gathered her crew. We need to protect the ship, she said firmly. We can't let them take it. Not now. Not ever. The starbound Arrow was prepared for a quick escape, but the derelict ship reacted in an unexpected way. Its fuel tank pulsed, and the ship's ancient engines emitted a faint hum. Slowly, the derelict moved, almost guiding itself away from danger. The rival ships approached aggressively, scanning for weak points. But they were forced to keep distance. Rico stared in astonishment. It's moving on its own. It knows we're in danger. Ilara nodded. It's protecting itself, or maybe protecting us. Either way, we need to follow its lead. The derelict ship led them into a narrow asteroid field. The pursuing fleet hesitated, unable to navigate the tight path quickly. Using the maneuvering advantage, the humans escaped safely. It was a clear reminder that underestimating humans and the ships they trusted could be a grave mistake. After the encounter, Ilara and her team returned to studying the fuel tank. With the rival threat momentarily gone, they focused on understanding how the tank stored information. Advanced scanners revealed encoded coordinates within the nanostructures. These coordinates were unusual not for trade routes or mining locations, but for something far older, an archive, long lost, hidden deep in uncharted space. This archive, Lena said, eyes wide. It could contain knowledge from humanity's earliest explorers. We've never seen anything like this. Rico shook his head, half in disbelief. And it's hidden in a fuel tank on a ship everyone called worthless. Ilara's expression was determined. That's the point. Whoever built this wanted only the clever and brave to find it. That's humanity's strength. Others discard what we can see value in. Over the following days, the team decoded more of the information stored in the fuel. They discovered schematics for advanced engines, maps of hidden colonies, and detailed studies of planets abandoned long ago. The tank itself seemed to recognize the humans' efforts. The nanostructures reorganized, almost as if guiding the researchers toward understanding. The fuel was more than energy. It was a library, a protector, and a guide all in one. Alara realized that the discovery could change the course of human civilization. Faster than light travel, lost technologies, and new scientific knowledge could be unlocked if they reached the archive. But with opportunity came risk. The rival factions who had attempted to seize the ship could return, and other civilizations might notice humans uncovering secrets long hidden. "Captain," Rico said one evening, exhaustion in his voice, "we've been at this for hours. Are we sure we can handle what's in there?" Alara looked at him, her eyes steady. "Rico, humanity has always faced challenges it didn't fully understand. And every time, we've found a way through. Curiosity and courage define us more than strength. That's why we're still here. That's why we'll succeed." The crew continued their work, and slowly, the derelict ship revealed more of its secrets. Hidden compartments opened, revealing tools and devices no one had expected. Old data drives contained messages from explorers long gone, warning of dangers and offering guidance. Even the AI interface began to cooperate, responding to human commands and providing subtle hints. As days passed, the humans realized that the fuel tank was not just a storage device. It was a test, a challenge set by those who had built the ship. Only by proving patience, ingenuity, and teamwork could they unlock the full potential of its secrets. Then, one morning, the fuel tank pulsed brighter than ever. Lights across the research station flickered as the nanostructures emitted waves of energy. Holographic images appeared in the lab. Star maps, mathematical formulas, and complex diagrams of ships and planets. It was the first clear sign that the tank was fully activated. Lena stepped back, awestruck. This is amazing. It's like the ship is alive, guiding us, teaching us." Rico's voice trembled slightly. "It's more than that. It's intelligence. A tool, yes, but also a partner." Alara smiled quietly. "And it chose us. Chose humans. That's the real lesson. The universe may be vast and full of dangers, but humans have something no one else does. Creativity. Ingenuity. The ability to see value where others see nothing." Outside the station, the orbit of Arden 9 remained calm, the asteroid debris drifting silently. Yet within the station, humans were on the verge of a breakthrough. The derelict ship, once called worthless, had become a beacon of hope. Alara knew that the next step would take them beyond the safety of the station, beyond familiar space, into unknown regions. The coordinates embedded in the fuel tank promised discoveries that could change humanity forever. But with the promise of knowledge came the certainty of danger. Rival factions would not forget the humans' escape, and deep in uncharted space, unknown civilizations watched, curious about these resilient, clever beings who had a habit of surviving against impossible odds. For now, though, the humans focused on unlocking the secrets of the fuel tank. Each pulse, each glow, each microscopic movement was a clue, a challenge to their skills, their courage, and their determination. And as long as they kept their wits sharp, Alara knew that humanity would rise to the occasion. The derelict ship, silent and mysterious, floated beside the starbound Arrow. It had chosen its crew, tested their abilities, and rewarded their persistence. It had proven one undeniable truth. Even in the depths of space, humans could find opportunity where others saw only emptiness. Alara watched the ship one last time before leaving the lab. She whispered softly, more to herself than anyone else, "You may have been called worthless, but together, we will prove otherwise." And so, with determination burning in their hearts, the crew prepared for the next stage of their journey. The fuel tank held secrets. Yes, but it also held a promise that humans, with their cleverness and courage, could unlock the universe's mysteries, one discovery at a time. The starbound Arrow cut through the black of uncharted space, its engines humming steadily. Beside it floated the derelict ship, once dismissed as worthless, now a silent guide, its fuel tank pulsing with quiet intelligence. Captain Alara Voss sat in the command chair, her eyes fixed on the navigation charts displayed in front of her. "Coordinates confirmed," Lena Ortega said, her fingers flying over the console. "The archive isn't on any known star charts. We're heading into regions human ships haven't mapped in centuries." Alara nodded. "Good. That's exactly where we need to go." She glanced at Riko Tanaka, who was monitoring the fuel tank's readings. "Keep a close eye on the tank. It's guiding us, but we don't fully understand how it works yet." Riko adjusted the scanners. "It's incredible. Every time we make a course adjustment, the energy patterns respond. It's like it knows exactly what to do to keep us safe." The crew had grown used to the subtle guidance of the derelict ship. It moved in ways that seemed impossible for an old freighter, gliding through gravitational anomalies and asteroid belts, as though it had a mind of its own. The fuel tank's pulses acted as a silent communicator, almost a partner in navigation. As they ventured deeper into uncharted space, strange energy readings began to appear. Massive clouds of ionized gas, remnants of supernovae, stretched across the void, threatening to interfere with their instruments. Lena skillfully maneuvered through them, following the subtle hints the derelict ship seemed to provide. Every successful passage reinforced the crew's sense that they were not just piloting a ship, they were cooperating with it. One evening, while the crew rested, the station's alarm system buzzed softly. A nearby signal appeared on the long-range scanner, an unidentified ship moving at high speed. Its design was unfamiliar, sleek and angular, and it emitted an energy signature unlike anything the humans had encountered. Alara leaned forward. "Scan it." "Who are they?" Riko shook his head. "I can't identify them. Definitely not human. And they're not on any known registry." Riko. Goner. The alien ship changed course, heading toward the humans. Alara made a quick decision. "Prepare evasive maneuvers. We can't let them intercept us." Lena's fingers danced over the controls. The starbound arrow veered sharply. Following a path guided subtly by the derelict ship, the alien vessel pursued aggressively, but the humans' careful navigation kept them ahead. "It's responding to us," Lena said in disbelief. "The old ship knows where to go." Riko added, "Not just knows, it anticipates. It's smarter than we expected." Hours passed in tense silence, with the aliens attempting various intercept patterns. Each time, the derelict ship guided the humans around danger. Finally, the pursuing ship gave up, retreating into the distance. Alara exhaled. "Humans are clever, but sometimes we get help from unexpected places." She looked at the derelict ship. "And some help comes in forms we don't yet understand." The next challenge came from within the starbound arrow itself. The navigation systems began to malfunction, sensors flickering, and engines losing efficiency. The crew scrambled to identify the cause. Riko examined the systems, frowning. "It's not a mechanical failure. Something is interfering with our power matrix." Could it be the energy pulses from the derelict? Alara considered this. Maybe. But the pulses have always guided us safely. Adjust the engine output slowly, see if the pattern stabilizes. Working carefully, Riko recalibrated the engines while Lena maneuvered the ship. Slowly, the readings stabilized. The pulses from the fuel tank synchronized with the starbound arrow's systems, restoring full functionality. Lena leaned back in her chair, exhausted but smiling. Humans and machines. Together, we can handle anything. Alara nodded. Exactly. Ingenuity and teamwork, that's what makes us strong. That's why we survive where others fail. Days turned into weeks as the crew followed the coordinates embedded in the fuel tank. They encountered abandoned space stations, floating relics of early human explorers, and even signals of old colonies thought lost. Each discovery provided clues, maps, and messages left by humans who had ventured into these regions centuries ago. The derelict ship continued to pulse, almost guiding the crew toward the most important findings. One day, they approached a massive asteroid. nearly invisible against the backdrop of a gas cloud. The coordinates pointed directly toward it. Could it really be here? Lena asked, awe in her voice. Ilara studied the readings. All signs point to yes. Whatever the archive is, it's on or inside that asteroid. They carefully maneuvered the ships toward the massive rock. Sensors detected an artificial structure embedded within it, a hidden facility long buried under layers of rock. The entrance was sealed, but energy readings suggested life and activity within. This is it, Ilara said quietly. The archive. The crew prepared to dock the derelict ship near the asteroid's surface. As they did, the fuel tank pulsed one final time. Holographic patterns appeared, forming instructions for accessing the hidden facility. It was clear now. The fuel tank had been a guide, a key, and a protector, all in one. Rico stared in amazement. It led us here. Every step, every hazard. It was part of the plan. Ilara nodded. And we proved ourselves capable. That's what it wanted. That's why it chose humans. Using the instructions, the crew activated the entrance mechanism. Panels shifted, revealing a corridor leading deep into the asteroid. Inside, they found rooms filled with technology, records, and artifacts of humanity's past explorations. Ancient spacecraft schematics, energy generation designs, and records of lost colonies filled the archive. Lena ran her fingers over the holographic displays. This is incredible. Everything humanity has ever lost, preserved here, Rico added. And it's all safe. The fuel tank protected it, guided us, tested us. We've earned this. Ilara moved through the archive, her mind racing with possibilities. This knowledge, it could advance human civilization by centuries. Faster travel, new energy systems, even environmental restoration. But we have to share it wisely. The wrong hands could misuse it. The team spent days cataloging and studying the archive. Each discovery reinforced the truth they had always known. Humans were capable of incredible ingenuity, resourcefulness, and creativity. Even in the face of danger, their courage and cleverness allowed them to succeed where others might fail. Meanwhile, unknown observers from distant civilizations watched silently. They underestimated humans constantly, assuming weakness and recklessness. Yet each obstacle the humans overcame proved their adaptability and cleverness. The aliens began to realize that humans were not to be dismissed lightly. The archive also contained warnings. Early humans had encountered dangers that nearly wiped out colonies, and the records offered strategies for survival, navigation, and diplomacy in unknown space. Ilara studied these carefully, understanding that the knowledge came with responsibility. Finally, after weeks in the asteroid, the crew prepared to return to human-controlled space. They had cataloged the archive, activated its protective systems, and ensured that the derelict ship could continue to guide future explorers if needed. The once worthless vessel had revealed its ultimate purpose. It was a guardian of knowledge, a teacher, and a testament to human ingenuity. As they departed, Ilara looked at her crew. We've faced danger, solved problems, and learned more than I ever imagined. But the most important lesson is this. Humans are capable of extraordinary things when we work together, when we trust our instincts, and when we never give up. Lena smiled. And sometimes, we get help from unexpected places. She nodded at the derelict ship, which pulsed one last time before falling silent. Rico added, We've proven that humans aren't just survivors. We're innovators, explorers, and problem solvers. That's why we've made it this far, and why we'll continue to thrive in the galaxy. Ilara's eyes softened as she gazed at the stars. Exactly. The universe is vast and full of challenges. But humans, we have something special. Curiosity, ingenuity, and the courage to face the unknown. That's our real power. And with that, the starbound Arrow and its crew set course for home, carrying knowledge that could change humanity forever. They had followed the path of a ship everyone had called worthless, and discovered that value is often hidden where no one expects it. The journey was far from over. But for now, the humans had proven themselves once again. They had outsmarted dangers, solved impossible problems, and uncovered secrets lost for centuries. And in the heart of the galaxy, they carried a truth every human knew deep down. When humans choose to see value, take risks, and never give up, there is nothing in the universe they cannot accomplish. The starbound arrow and the derelict ship floated silently above the asteroid, where the hidden archive had been discovered. Inside, the crew worked tirelessly, cataloging centuries-old data, ancient schematics, and powerful technology left behind by early human explorers. Every piece of knowledge was a testament to human creativity, ingenuity, and perseverance. Captain Ilara Voss stood in the central chamber of the archive, her eyes scanning holographic projections of star maps and energy systems. "We have to document everything carefully," she said. "This knowledge is more than just technology. It's a bridge to the future of humanity." Riko Tanaka nodded, adjusting a scanner over a series of blueprints. Some of these designs, faster-than-light engines, energy generators, even advanced navigation algorithms, they're centuries ahead of anything humans currently have. If we implement them wisely, we could transform exploration, trade, and even life on colonized planets. Lena Ortega traced her fingers over a holographic star chart. "Look at these coordinates. Lost colonies, abandoned mining stations, research outposts, all connected. Whoever left this archive wanted humans to find it and continue what they started." Ilara's expression was thoughtful. "They trusted humans to continue their work. And we've proven capable so far. But this is just the beginning. We have to ensure this knowledge is used for the good of humanity, not for greed or conflict." While the crew worked, the derelict ship remained quiet, its fuel tank no longer pulsing as it had during the journey. It had fulfilled its purpose, guiding humans to the archive, protecting them from danger, and testing their ingenuity. Now it floated calmly, as if satisfied that its legacy was secure. Outside, deep in uncharted space, distant civilizations observed silently. Some were curious, others wary. Humans had always been underestimated. Other species assumed humans were weak, reckless, and unorganized. Yet, every obstacle the humans overcame, every challenge they solved with cleverness and teamwork, shattered those assumptions. The aliens could see that humans possessed something unique: the ability to find opportunity, solve complex problems, and adapt to almost any situation. Back in the archive, the crew uncovered a chamber filled with advanced energy systems, schematics for fusion reactors, sustainable power networks, and even artificial habitats for extreme environments filled the room. These technologies could restore planets devastated by industrial exploitation, allow human colonies to thrive in harsh conditions, and even create new opportunities for life in previously uninhabitable regions. Riko's voice broke the silence. "Captain, this is incredible. Not just the technology, but the foresight. Whoever built this archive knew humanity would need these tools. They trusted us to use them responsibly." Ilara smiled, her eyes shining. "And we will. This is more than a discovery. It's a responsibility. Humanity has always faced challenges. This is another one, but with opportunity built in." Lena's attention shifted to a series of records documenting the history of long-lost colonies. Holographic images showed humans living in extreme environments, exploring distant planets, and developing technology that had been forgotten over generations. "Captain, these records, they're lessons, warnings, guidance. Early explorers faced dangers, but they also left us the knowledge to overcome them." Ilara nodded. "Exactly. That's what makes humanity strong. We learn, adapt, and persevere. Knowledge alone isn't enough, we need courage and wisdom to apply it." As they prepared to leave the archive, the derelict ship's AI interface flickered briefly. Words appeared on the screen. "You have proven worthy. Continue. Protect the knowledge. Expand. explore. Rico shook his head in awe. It, it, it recognized our efforts. It's like it knew we were ready to take the next step. Alara's voice was steady. And we are. Humans have always thrived where others give up. Now, we have the tools to take the next leap. The journey home was quiet but filled with purpose. The starbound Arrow carried more than just the crew. It carried knowledge that could redefine human civilization. Every crew member understood the significance. They were not just returning with data. They were returning as guardians of humanity's future. During the trip, the crew reflected on the lessons learned. Lena spoke first. I never imagined a ship labeled worthless could be so valuable. It's a reminder, value isn't always obvious. Sometimes, what others discard contains the greatest treasures, Rico added, and it's proof that humans are clever. We can see potential where others see nothing. That's why we survive. That's why we thrive. Alara nodded. Exactly. And that's why the galaxy underestimates us at every turn. But they will learn. Not through force, but through human ingenuity, teamwork, and persistence. That's our real power. As they neared human-controlled space, the Archive's holographic systems continued to assist them. Maps of star systems, energy-efficient navigation routes, and blueprints for advanced ships and habitats made their journey smoother than expected. The Archive itself became a silent partner, ensuring that humans could apply the knowledge responsibly. The starbound Arrow finally returned to a major human colony, greeted by astonished scientists, engineers, and officials. The crew presented the discoveries, explaining how the derelict ship, the fuel tank, and the hidden archive had worked together to guide them safely. Public excitement was enormous, but Alara maintained caution. This knowledge is powerful, she addressed the crowd. It can advance humanity by centuries if used wisely, but it must not fall into the wrong hands. We must protect it, study it carefully, and apply it responsibly. That is our duty. The scientific teams immediately began analyzing the data. Early designs for faster-than-light engines promised new possibilities for exploration. Energy systems could allow colonies to thrive on worlds previously thought uninhabitable. Agricultural and ecological technologies offered the chance to restore damaged ecosystems on distant planets. Rico watched as engineers implemented the Archive's designs. Captain, this is amazing. Humans really can change the galaxy when we work together. Alara's gaze was steady. And we will. That's what humans do best. We adapt, we innovate, and we persevere. The Archive was a gift, but it was also a test, and we passed it. Meanwhile, the derelict ship remained in the colony's orbit, silent but proud. It had fulfilled its purpose, guiding humans, testing their abilities, and ultimately ensuring that the knowledge would be used responsibly. The ship would now rest, waiting for future explorers who might need guidance in the vast unknown. Lena looked up at the vessel. I never thought I'd say this, but I'll miss it. Alara smiled. It was never just a ship. It was a teacher, a protector, and a partner. And it reminded us of what humans are capable of. Curiosity, courage, and cleverness, Rico added, and sometimes that's enough to change the universe. Months passed, and the colony began to implement the Archive's knowledge. New ships were built. Advanced energy systems powered colonies, and exploration expanded into regions previously thought unreachable. Humanity had taken a step forward, not through force or luck, but through ingenuity, courage, and the ability to see value where others saw nothing. Alara reflected on the journey. From the moment she had first seen the worthless ship, she had sensed something extraordinary. The fuel tank had been the key, but the real power had been in the humans who discovered it. Their creativity, persistence, and teamwork had unlocked the potential that lay hidden for centuries. And so, the story of the derelict ship became a legend, not because of its size, firepower, or beauty, but because it had chosen humans, the clever, resilient, and persistent species, to carry forward the knowledge of the past and ensure the future of humanity among the stars. Elara stood on the observation deck, gazing at the galaxy. "We've proven something important," she whispered to herself. "Humans aren't just survivors. We're explorers, innovators, and problem solvers. And no matter how vast or dangerous the universe is, we'll always find a way." The derelict ship, once called worthless, had fulfilled its purpose. The fuel tank had held secrets that no one expected, and humanity had risen to the challenge, proving once again that courage, ingenuity, and curiosity are the true strengths of their kind. The stars stretched infinitely, full of mysteries, dangers, and opportunities. And humans, clever and daring as ever, were ready to explore them all. Because when the universe says something is worthless, humans have a way of proving it is priceless.